Alright, everybody. So, welcome to the TSF Task 1. And in this, we'll be obtaining the percentage score of a student depending on the number of hours that is studied, and we'll be using the linear regression for this purpose. So, we first start by importing the project dependencies of the libraries that we use to make this project or model. We start off by reading the data and calling the head on it, which means that we'll be checking the top five rows. Our data has a column of hours and the scores, that is the hours that the student studied and the scores that they achieved for studying for those many hours. We check for the null data present in the data and also the data types of both the columns. And we found that there were no null values, which means our data was pretty good to go work with. Then we performed a small EDA on it, mostly checking the relation between the number of hours the student studied and the score that they achieved. And this was a bar plots for it. And then when we checked with the line plot, we were able to see a bit more, a bit bigger picture on it. And further, we went on to make the heat map uh, for the data, comparing the columns, and ended up with a small function which the user could input the number of hours, and the it would give us the result from the table of the score that the student scored. So moving on to the modeling part, we imported the linear regression, the train test split from scikit-learn basically. We defined the features as well as the value that we need to predict and call the train test split on it. The training data was 90% and we used the 10% of data for testing. But as this was very small data set, this was the most viable approach that we could do. And we went on to make the model, uh, defined the instance of the class linear regression, called the fit method on it, and fit the training data on it, and then made the prediction. Then we checked the metrics and the mean squared error that we were getting on it, and went on to make a plot. So as you can see, many of these points are very close to the line and also lying, or some are lying on the line and some are far away. This might be because of mostly because the data is very small. If we had a bigger data and we could actually use a standard scaler, I think the model would give a better result. So we were given the constraint of 9.25 hours, and we need to predict what would be the score of a student studying for 9.25 hours. And as you can see, we were able to predict a score of 22.13. So this means the model was doing pretty good because as we saw, uh, as we know, the more the hours that you study, the better should be the score. So according to that, it's great. But if you also saw this, that after studying for like more than 9 hours, some of the scores were going down, which means that the reason behind this could be that students actually face like they get tired after studying for long hours, or when studying for long hours they don't really focus much. So that might be the reason. So overall, the model was able to do really good, and it was able to give some pretty decent results. So that is it for the task one.